Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is WireDogSec back with another video for you guys. Today's video, we are going to continue on with TryHackMe and the Junior Penetration Tester learning path. This is the Metasploit Meterpreter room. Take a deep dive into Meterpreter and see how in-memory payloads can be used for post-exploitation. Now let's go ahead and dive into it. Task 1. Introduction to Meterpreter. Meterpreter is a Metasploit payload that supports the penetration testing process with many valuable components. Meterpreter will run on the target system and act as an agent within a command and control architecture. You will interact with the target operating system and files and use Meterpreter's specialized commands. Meterpreter has many versions which will provide different functionalities based on the target system. How does Meterpreter work? Meterpreter runs on the target system, but is not installed on it. It runs in memory and does not write itself to the disk on the target. This feature aims to avoid being detected during antivirus scans. By default, most antivirus software will scan new files on the disk, e.g. when you download a file from the internet. Meterpreter runs in memory, random access memory, to avoid having a file that has been written to the disk on the target system, e.g. meterpreter.exe. This way, Meterpreter will be seen as a process and not have a file on the target system. Meterpreter also aims to avoid being detected by a network-based IPS intrusion prevention system and IDS, which is intrusion detection system solutions, by using encrypted communication with the server where Metasploit runs, typically your attacking machine. If the target organization does not decrypt and inspect encrypted traffic, for example, HTTPS, coming to and out of the local network, IPS and IDS solutions will not be able to detect its activities. Right, and this is called like various different names. You can call it SSL slash TLS inspection, whatever, right? They have different terminologies for this depending on whatever vendor, but it's basically you're inspecting that encrypted traffic like it says here. If you're not doing that, then how can they detect any type of malicious activity, right? Anyway, let's continue on. While Meterpreter is recognized by major antivirus software, this feature provides some degree of stealth. The example below shows a target Windows machine exploited using the MS17-010 vulnerability. You will see Meterpreter is running with a process ID PID of 1304. This PID will be different in your case. We have used the getPID command, which returns the process ID with which Meterpreter is running. The process ID or process identifier is used by operating systems to identify running processes. All processes running in Linux or Windows will have a unique ID number. This number is used to interact with the process when the need arises, e.g., if it needs to be stopped. And here's an example. If they're talking about they did the get PID command inside of Meterpreter, and this is the current PID or process ID, right? So let's go ahead and continue on here. If we list processes running on the target system using the ps command, we see PID 1304 is spool sv.exe and not meterpreter.exe, as one might expect. And here's an example of the ps command to list out all the processes running, right? So they have it down here as that particular, what was it called? Yeah, the spool sv.exe. So there you go. And let's continue on. Even if we were to go a step further and look at the DLLs, which stands for Dynamic Link Libraries, used by Meterpreter process, PID 1304 in this case, we still would not find anything jumping at us. Example, no meterpreter.dll. And here's an example of them trying to find that out. They're listing out these DLLs, right? All right, so let's go ahead and continue on. Techniques and tools that can be used to detect Meterpreter are beyond the scope of this room. This section aimed to show you how stealthy Meterpreter is running. Remember, most antivirus software will detect it. It is also worth noting that Meterpreter will establish an encrypted TLS communication channel with the attacker system. So we've already read that, so let's go ahead and continue on here. And task number 2. And let's see what they say here. Meterpreter flavors. As discussed in the previous Metasploit rooms, linked below, Metasploit payloads can be initially divided into two categories: inline, also called single, and staged. Introduction to Metasploit, that's the room here, and scanning and exploitation with Metasploit, that's this room here. As you will remember, staged payloads are sent to the target in 2 steps. An initial part is installed, the stager, and request the rest of the payload. This also allows for a smaller initial payload size. The inline payloads are sent in a single step. Meterpreter payloads are also divided into staged and inline versions. However, Meterpreter has a wide range of different versions you can choose from based on your target system. The easiest way to have an idea about available Meterpreter versions could be to list them using MSF Venom as seen below. We have used the MSF Venom -- list payloads command and grepped Meterpreter payloads, adding the pipe grep Meterpreter to the command line. So the output only shows these. You can try this command on the attack box. So go ahead and try this out on your attack box or on your own machine, whatever machine you're using, and see what comes up here. We're going to continue on. The list will show Meterpreter versions available for the following platforms: Android, Apple iOS, Java, Linux, etc., etc. Your decision on which version of Meterpreter to use will most likely be based on three factors: the target operating system, components available in the target system, network connection types you can have with the target system. If you are not using Meterpreter as a standalone payload generated by MSF Venom, your choice may be limited by the exploit. You will notice some exploits will have a default Meterpreter payload, as you can see in the example below with the LMS 17010 Eternal Blue exploit here. And there's the example, right? It looks like I think it automatically defaults to this particular payload here. You can also list other available payloads using the show payloads command with any module. So show payloads, you can pick and choose whichever one fits your needs, right? So they have various different ones on here. Now let's see here. We've already read it, so let's go ahead and continue on and talk about task number 3, Meterpreter commands. So let's go ahead and drop this down and see what they got to say. Typing help on any Meterpreter session shown by Meterpreter at the prompt will list all available commands, and that's what this looks like here. Every version of Meterpreter will have different command options, so running the help command is always a good idea. Commands are built-in tools available on Meterpreter. They will run on the target system without loading any additional script or executables. Meterpreter will provide you with 3 primary categories of tools: built-in commands, Meterpreter tools, Meterpreter scripting. If you run the help command, you will see Meterpreter commands are listed under different categories, and those are the following here: core commands, file system commands, networking commands, system commands, user interface commands, webcam commands, etc., etc. Please note that the list above was taken from the output of the help command on the Windows version of Meterpreter, which is this here. These will be different for other Meterpreter versions. And let's see, Meterpreter commands. Core commands will be helpful to navigate and interact with the target system. Below are some of the most commonly used. Remember to check all available commands running the help command once a Meterpreter session has started. And here are the core commands here: background, exit, GUID, help, info, IRB, load, migrate, etc., etc. File system commands: cd, ls, pwd, edit, cat, etc., etc. Network commands: ARP, ipconfig, netstat, port forward, route. System commands: clear, ev, execute, get pid, etc., etc. Other commands: these will be listed under different menu categories in the help menu: idle, key scan, dump, key scan, start, key scan, stop, etc., etc. Although all these commands may seem available under the help menu, they may not all work. For example, the target system may not have a webcam, or it can be running on a virtual machine without a proper desktop environment. All right, so we've read through it. Let's go ahead and hit complete here and talk about task number 4, post exploitation with Meterpreter. Meterpreter provides you with many useful commands that facilitate the post-exploitation phase. Below are a few examples you often use. Help. This command will give you a list of available commands, and Meterpreter, as we have seen earlier, Meterpreter has many versions, and each version may have different options available. Typing help once you have a Meterpreter session will help you quickly browse through available commands, and that's what it looks like here, as we saw earlier. Meterpreter commands. The get UID command will display the user with which Meterpreter is currently running. This will give you an idea of your possible privilege level on the target system. e.g., are you an admin level like NT authority system or a regular user? And that's what it looks like here. PS command lists running processes here we saw earlier, so that's what it looks like again. And migrating to another process will help Meterpreter interact with it. For example, if you see a word processor running on the target system, example would be word.exe, notepad.exe, etc. You can migrate to it and start capturing keystrokes sent by the user to this process. Some interpreter versions will offer you the key scan start, key scan stop, and key scan dump command options to make Meterpreter act like a keylogger. Migrating to another process may also help you have a more stable Meterpreter session. To migrate to any process, you need to type the migrate command followed by the PID of the desired target process. The example below shows Meterpreter migrating to process ID 716. See what they did here, migrate, and then the PID, right? So it's that simple. Be careful. You may lose your user privileges if you migrate from a higher privileged system user to a process started by a lower privileged user. Example would be web server. You may not be able to gain them back, so be careful with that. As they say that here, hash dump. The hash dump command will list the contents of the SAM database. The SAM, which stands for Security Account Manager database, stores users' passwords on the Windows systems. These passwords are stored in the NTLM, which is New Technology Land Manager format. And that's what it looks like here. You get those hashes off of there, so you can do like hash to hash, stuff like that, what have you. While it is not mathematically possible to crack these hashes, you may still discover the clear text password using online NTLM databases or a rainbow table attack. These hashes can also be used in pass to hash attacks to authenticate to other systems that these users can access the same network. Search. The search command is useful to locate files with potentially juicy information. In a CTF context, this can be used to quickly find a flag or a proof file. While in actual penetration testing engagements, you may need to search for user-generated files or configuration files that contain password or account information. And that's what it looks like here. And we're going to talk about shell. The shell command will launch a regular command line shell on the target system. Pressing Control plus Z will help you go back to the Meterpreter shell. And that's what it looks like here. And we've read through everything here. And let's get to task number 5 here, post-exploitation challenge. All right, so let's see what they have for us. Meterpreter provides several important post-exploitation tools. Commands mentioned previously, such as getSystem and hashdump, will provide important leverage and information for privilege escalation and lateral movement. Meterpreter is also a good base you can use to run post-exploitation modules available on the Metasploit framework. Finally, you can also use the load command to leverage additional tools such as Kiwi or even the whole Python package. Now, when they said Kiwi, they're talking about Mimikatz, all right? All right, so loading Python is an example, and the post-exploitation phase will have several goals. Meterpreter has functions that can assist all of them, gathering further information about the target system, looking for interesting files, user creds, additional network interfaces, and generally interesting information on the target system, privilege escalation, lateral movement. Once any additional tool is loaded using the load command, you will see new options on the help menu. This example below shows commands added for the Kiwi module using the load Kiwi command. There you go. These will change according to the loaded menu. So running the help command after loading a module is always a good idea. The questions below will help you have a better understanding of how Meterpreter can be used in post-exploitation. You can use the credentials below to simulate an initial compromise over SMB, which is server message block, using exploit Windows SMB PSExec. Hey everybody, just a quick little blurb here. As you can see here, most people that view my channel are not subscribers. If you're new here, please consider subscribing to the channel. If you're enjoying the video, please consider hitting the like button. It helps get me in the algorithm, helps spread the good word out there, helps bring more people and increase our glorious community here. All right, I'm all about helping out others. I know what it's like to come up in cybersecurity or even try to get into cybersecurity and not knowing where to look. I'm just having this channel up so I can help out other people. All right, that's all I got. All right, now let's go ahead and go through this. Now, the first thing I did was, of course, fire up Metasploit, right, with MSF console. As you can see there, fired it up, and it said to use this particular exploit, Windows SMB PSExec. Now, I did select that, and I did options, so you can see the initial options here. Now you need to go in and set the rhost to whatever target IP address you have for yourself. And also you need to set the SMB pass and the SMB user using the information they gave us up here, which I done. All right, so I'm gonna scroll back down here. I set the rhost to the applicable target IP address, and then for the SMB user, it's going to be B Allen. Then SMB pass is going to be password with a capital P and the number 1. Now I'm going to go ahead and run this like so, and it should grant me access to that box. Now we're going to need to gather up some information, right? As soon as this connects. All right, looks like it finally connected. So first thing I'm going to do is gather up some information. So we can do that with the sysinfo command. And it says, what's the computer name? And it's going to be this Acme hyphen test here. So we'll go ahead and grab this out of here, plug it in here, like so. What is the target domain? And you can see the domain is flash, all caps. So type in flash. What is the name of the share? Likely created by the user. All right, so we need to run some kind of post exploitation module, apparently, so we can gather that particular information. Now, to do that, we're going to type in bg to background this session. Again, if you want to see the sessions, right, you're going to do sessions like so. So session 1. All right. Now, in order to use a particular module, we're going to do this use, and then was it post? Yeah, post, and then it's going to be Windows gather, and then enum shares, like so, right? And then we are going to do the following here, which is set the session. You can do options on this as well if you want to, right? So we're going to set the uh, session to 1, like so, because that's the session we want to target. All right, now that's done, and we can hit run, and now it's going to run, and now we have some information that came back. What is the name of the share likely created by the user? Now we go through here. This one looks like some kind of generic share that's already on the box, right, from the system itself. So first of all, net logon. This one looks like a particular share of interest, so we're going to take this one and plug it in here. Next one says, what is the NTLM hash of the J Chambers user? All right, so first off, we need to get back into our session, so we can do this sessions and then -I for interact and then 1. Get back in here, and we want to get that hash so we can migrate to a different process. Let's try that. Do PS, and oh, that's right, we have to migrate to LSAS, right? So let's go ahead and find that LSAS process. There we go. So it looks like it's going to be 768. So let's do migrate to 768, like so. Now, all right, now it should work. Hash dump. There we go. Now we want to get this J chamber, so we need to get the second part of this hash here, which is going to be this piece. Go ahead and copy this over, and it says what is the clear text password. Now to get this, you can use whatever password cracker tool you want to use. We're going to use crack station. Okay, so apparently crack station is not working today. I guess the site's down. But I found this other particular website called hashes.com, plugged the hash into there, and it found it. And this is going to be our password that we're looking for, which is trust no one. So I'm going to copy and paste that over. Where is the secrets.txt file located? Full path of it. Now to find files, remember we got to use the search. So let's go ahead and clear all this stuff out of here first. If it lets me. No. All right. Whatever. All right, so let's go ahead and use the search command to try to find this particular file. So it's going to be search-f, and then the name of the file is going to be secrets.txt. It's going to run through and try to figure out where this is located, and we need to get the entire directory, full path of the file. So as soon as it finds this, we can come back. All right, once your search file command has returned some results, you can find the particular path of the directory of the secrets.txt file. You can see that, and just copy and paste that over like so. And the next one, you're going to find this real secret.txt file, right? You're going to do the same thing here, right? You search for this real secret.txt, and I have that down here. Now let's go ahead and cat both of these files. So be sure to navigate to these particular locations and then cat it from there. For some reason, my connection to the target machine. My Meterpreter session had died, so I had to redo it again. But anyway, so I reconnected back with this Meterpreter session, this new one. I'm inside the Meterpreter shell, located that particular directory for the secrets.txt file, right? So navigated to it using CD and then did ls, and then I used cat to display the contents of that file. And it says here, my Twitter password is this here. So copy paste that over. And the next one said to get the real secret, right? You want to get the contents of that file. So I basically went into the shell this time, right? So I have a regular looking Windows looking shell, and I did a cat. Oh, I tried cat, right? Cat's not going to work because it's not a command inside of Windows, right? Anyway, so I did type on the particular directory what the file I want to display the contents of, and here's the contents of that real secret.txt file, and that's it. Hopefully you all found this video of value, and if you did, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. As always, thank you for taking the time to watch my video. Also, be sure to check the description box because I have some valuable resources in there if you want to further your education. And I'll have a link to a video of different C2 frameworks. So they're basically like alternatives to Metasploit in case you guys want to see some of the capabilities that are listed there, or maybe you want to play around with some other ones out there. I'll have a link to that video, and then I'll also have a link to the actual website that has that information. But I'll see you guys later.